All right, so now we're streaming. We're on the wrong channel, and we have a really crummy sound input arrangement.
Okay, yep, we sure do.
Uh,
But you can still hear me. I'll like lean in so
I'll like,
my mic can pick me up a little better.
okay, and I'll point the mic more at the computer.
And everybody can see my face really big.
All right. So, Bunny, you want to learn to do development. And my job as your sister is to teach you about the world of web programming, okay?
Okay.
And here's my theory. Hold on, I'm going to switch cameras. This should work. Ooh. Okay, Zoom. I need you to switch that around. I need you to not show the chat, and I need you to switch this and like switch. Yeah, good enough. Okay, there's a way to get it to make the picture big on Zoom, but fuck it. I just want to make a picture. So, here's my theory. Learning to program is like exploring a whole new world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like learning new science because the physics is different, the chemistry is different, but you can manipulate it and you can use it to build things. But it's very different from building things in the real world, especially it's faster. Right. So when we want to build things in the world of the web, we have to like explore its territory. And you have been learning about JavaScript.
Yes.
But JavaScript is kind of like biology. So I was thinking that it's kind of like you've got the physics that is HTML as the basis of, is that mirror image to you or just to me?
No, looks good to me.
Well, it's mirror image on the stupid screen.
Hold on, let me look on the live stream.
There.
Hold on,
Okay.
For you to write it on there. You're about to write it on the live stream.
Can you even see it on your?
I can. It's just really tiny. Hold on. Yeah, it is backwards on.
It's about to not be. Oh, I got it to switch. Okay, now you are small, and the drawing is big, and it's not very good. Is there like a focus button on this webcam or something? Yo. Webcam, would you like focus, please? Fuck it. I'll just use a fatter pen.
It's fine. It's not too bad.
It's, yeah, on your phone it's gonna be fine. Anyway, I think HTML is like physics because it defines like the basics of how your world works, of just what appears and what exists in the world. Slash body. So that's part of what you learn. And if you only learn HTML, it's like being able to build things with blocks and draw and generally sort of create static things. Build buildings even. But they're not very pretty. Yeah, it is a lot like working with just like blocks. Do you hear my children?
Yes.
And then when you start to add CSS, that's kind of like chemistry. So when you get like, you can make divs in here, and then you can make them like do things. Style equals cool. So CSS is kind of like chemistry, And I've just started learning about CSS, and I find it kind of interesting because it really is intended to describe things in relation to each other, not in absolutes. So HTML, like you're building with blocks, is absolutes, but CSS is more like chemistry, where when you hook different molecules together in different ways, they have different properties. And I'm especially observing this with CSS positioning, because everything is relative to everything else. Even if you say positioning equals absolute. And I haven't even got into Flexbox yet. Well, sort of we did today. Anyway, and then JavaScript is like biology. It's kind of like the everything else. Make it do everything else. And then you can connect it to the back end and sort of save things. So that's kind of, I'm making this up now. That's kind of like prayer, where you get to write the God in the sky, which is the server, where there's like one location. Yeah, so a prayer is kind of like an Ajax call, where you're like consulting the authority in the sky. And so anyway, we have to explore like the lands of HTML. That's the fairly easy one. And CSS. That's super interesting. Oh, that's not in the picture. And then look, plants. There's some evergreens. I don't know why they're up there, but yeah. There's like plants, which are the JavaScript, because they're alive and stuff. And then deep in the earth, the lava boiling up. We'll just have the server in the back end. There it is. That's Jess's web development in one really sad drawing.
What a beautiful world you've created. You're just like Tolkien.
But it really is like entering an alien planet programming.
It is. I can attest to that. It's completely different than anything else I've ever learned.
Now I am going to switch the video back to my face. Ooh, there I am. And now I'm going to share screen. I'm going to show you this app thingy. But first I'm going to do some irritating Git tricks. Okay, so I have this sad hobbled together React app, but it is mine, right? And I need both of us. There we are. And in it, I have an objective. So at Adamus, we have this library, Adamus tree path, I think. Yes. And it's a library for parsing code.
Okay.
And it uses Antler grammar. That's a technical term. Actually, let me show you one. Why not? Oh, there's one in here. So when people are writing a programming language, they typically write a, where would this be? Oh, it's in our Antler lib. Adamus, Antler. Antler's an acronym for something or other. Whoops, not test. I want this. And then Java, and then G4. Okay, people define the grammar of a programming language in a file like this one, or at least they can. And I think in this case, someone went back and did it, but and this says, okay, this defines the grammar rules of Java. The top level, you have a compilation unit. It contains a package declaration, maybe. That's optional. Any number of import declarations and some type declarations, and then end of file. So this is like depths of programming language. The interesting bit about this compared to the real world is in programming land, languages actually follow their grammar. And the grammar is like hard-coded here. And it does evolve. This is the Java 1.7 grammar, so it's only good up to Java 7. We also have, oh man, I could swear I had a Java 9 folder in here. Have I not merged that to master yet? Crap. I thought we had merged this. I don't see why we shouldn't merge this. Pull request. Java 9. And this just adds stuff, right? This is only additive. This is only additive. Okay, so these grammars do evolve, but they evolve very systematically. So you actually get a different. Come here, show me the. You get a different file. Yeah, it doesn't. Come here, show me this file. Right. So the Java 9 grammar is a little bit different from the other Java grammar, but it's very specific, unlike English. Okay, so what our library does, the point of it is to be able to modify code using code. Things that you do not have to do. But we want to be able to do this because we're like super meta programmer thingers. And but in order to do that, we break it down. Where'd tree parser go? Oh, I'm spin in here. Doop, 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 doop. Go back to tree path, Jess. So using that grammar, we have a generic library that will use that antler grammar, because there's antler grammars for lots and lots of programming languages. It's kind of a generic way of specifying a grammar. Okay. There are ways to do that in the real world with real languages too, but in real language, we don't actually follow them. If your Java doesn't follow the Java grammar, it's not Java. It won't compile. It won't even parse. So we have, a generic library so that you can talk about your code, be like, okay, give me all the variable declarations and all the identifiers within those. And these are like pieces of your code as specified by the grammar. But this, as you can see, does not show you very much. Tree and path expression overview. Right, path expressions. Are you going to show me a tree? Yeah, it doesn't show you anything, which is why I have a GUI for it. So this GUI needs to show you, it needs to show you like the code and the tree that you're parsing it into, because that grammar file, so Rod, who wrote this library, he just like navigates through the grammar file and it's like, oh, well, clearly I want all the variable declarations / identifiers. And the rest of us are like, and you get it wrong and it just gives you some garbage and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So this app is a web app, tree parser GUI. And I have it cloned here. And if I run it, npm start, this is going to start the server. Oh, you know what I need to do? Oh, I do export port 497. Okay. Yeah, so I need to npm start, which, oh, look, it does a build. Okay, so this is going to compile my TypeScript, and Webpack is a terrifying thing that I don't understand very much yet, but that makes it crams all the JavaScript into like one file, and then Node runs the server. So Node is like your lava boiler in our crazy picture. And what this does, your app is listening on port 49518. Now tell me if any of this is familiar to you, because most mortals don't know this trick. The web is just somebody else's computer, right?
Yeah.
Localhost is your computer.
Okay.
So when you say, hey, web browser, go to localhost this number, then it looks on your computer for something listening on that port number.
Okay.
And so you can have lots of web servers running on your computer. But for the browser to talk to them, it needs that address. that it's like a house number. So this is like, yeah, on your street, go to this house number and talk to it. Okay, so here, I'm going to type in some paltry Java, and we can use the Java parser. And when I hit submit on that, it goes and it runs our parser, and it uses the tree. Oh, I want to see a variable declaration. So to see a variable declaration, I have to go public string public void foo. I have to make a method, and then I can say string boo equals boo. That should be valid Java. It's not very good Java, but it's valid Java. And then this parses it into that tree. Here's the method body. Here's a whole bunch of garbage, because I don't like this grammar, because look at all this garbage. OMG. There's the string literal of quote boo quote. Here's a variable declaration. It's a little different in this Java 9 grammar. So here we have a variable declarator, and it has an identifier that is boo. So this lets us see the structure of the tree according to that ANTLR grammar, which is actually useful, because then I can like come close to writing one of those path expressions to say what piece I mean. Okay, this is a good time for questions. Yeah, I know. The actual purpose of this app is like super esoteric, high level. But at the same time, because it's super meta, you'll probably pick up some language from this domain that'll be useful to you later. But what's interesting to me about this app, what's useful about this app, is it contains HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And it's got a server. And the server's not very complicated. And so this is the app that I'm learning on, and I wanted to show it to you, because it's already useful. Even this, which Amy made it a little prettier the other day, and we made it more prettier this morning, and I'm about to merge that pull request in. Even this is like way more, it's like already useful to people here at Atomist who are not Rod. He can do it with the grammar. The rest of us need to see a picture. Right.
What is foo? Is that just what you named your class?
Yes. Oh.
Okay.
Do you know about foo and bar?
I mean, I know what foo bar means.
So there's a tradition in programming. If you don't have a name for something, if it totally doesn't matter what the name is, it's just a thing. Instead of naming it thing, you name it foo. And if you have another one, you name it bar. And if you have a third one, you name it Baz. And the fourth one is usually Quux. Quux. There is no rhyme or reason to that. It's just a tradition. Foo basically translates to thing one. And bar is thing two.
Gotcha.
And that's English side. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I understand, like, what you're, for the most part, what you're putting in your little box. Like, you know, you're creating a class, you're establishing the class, and then you're creating a variable, and you're assigning the variable.
This is a method, which is like a function, but it's kind of attached to a class.
Yeah, like that part I kind of get.
Right.
Everything else below it.
This is compiler theory type stuff. Okay, this is like computer science and not first year.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there.
Okay. And you will probably
my JavaScript course that I've completed.
You will never you will never need this stuff. Okay. It's kind of interesting to know it's there, you know, in like a theory sort of background underlying quantum physics kind of thing, but you don't actually need this stuff, although some of the vocabulary is really useful.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm not quite on a quantum level.
Right.
Yet. I mean, I'm still learning about, like, variables and arrays. So.
This is fine. This is totally fine. Oh, array literals are actually hard in Java, last I knew. I think they improved that, but it's still.
I'm still solving like little puzzles on the app that I downloaded.
I wonder if we don't. I don't think.
Like, you know.
Right. But what I want to work on here is like some of the like HTML, CSS stuff.
Okay.
Because so there's a pull request that I want to merge. Amy made a pull request to this today. It has one pull request. Here it is. But it has some conflicts that it doesn't know how to resolve. It's too complicated. OMG. The actual answer is we need to delete these files. But I am going to, yeah. I'm going to do some get magic here. What are you doing? Oh, this, okay, so this is my app having started. I'm going to stop my app. This is my repo. I'm going to do get remote, add origin, oops, add Amy, get fetch Amy. And then, so she has this branch. Get checkout. That you don't have to understand this. This is
good. I mean, it looks a little familiar. I kind of remember this stuff from a couple years ago, and that it looks vaguely familiar, but yeah, I mean, I don't really.
Well, and this isn't even normal get stuff. Not something we can merge, really. Unknown revision. Oh no, it's Amy, because I put it in Amy. Oh no, this one, that's not the name of her actual branch, is it? Okay, no, that's a name that it gave it. And I'm ignoring its stuff, and it's actually just Amy / feature prettification. There it is. So I'm going to manually merge in her pull request. Get RM. This. Yeah, fuck you. Fucking remove it. Fucking remove it. Okay, fuck you. Oh. Okay. I removed these JavaScript files, and now she needs to, and now I'm going to commit, and it's going to say I remerged that branch. Great. Push. npm start. Okay, so Amy and I today, we sat at the coffee shop and did more CSS and styling change. That looks absolutely nothing like Amy.
Oh, wow, yeah, it really doesn't.
She's much prettier than that. Anyway, we merged this, or we did this change because I was like, okay, the next thing is this needs to be over here, next to the code. You can't see my fingers. But now, let's see, she's hard-coded 5,000. That's fine. Okay, poof, it is now. So we moved it. And we moved it by changing some CSS. Let's do, I want to show the diff, parser GUI. Good. I want to show styling changes, this one, Flexbox. So we moved it by doing this. We made, get wider window. That was not relevant. That was also not relevant. What is all that? What on earth? Oh, it's telling me about JavaScript. Never mind. The diff is not being useful because the compile output was still in there. What matters is we changed the CSS one way or another to put this over here. And JavaScript is like barely involved in this. And like the changes to the moving around. except for the part that the HTML and the CSS get embedded in JavaScript, but that's just weird. Um, so this is like, for you, this is like a total zoom out view of what does the whole world look like? And I'm showing you like continents and pointing out features that you're like, oh, okay. And meanwhile, when you do your studies, you're like in your happy little Hobbit Valley with your JavaScript puzzles, right?
Yeah.
And that's good. You need both. You need like big overview, what is this whole world, and then like your happy little zoom in. Okay, this is a piece that I can get my teeth around.
Yeah, just like a high-level view to start getting me acclimated to that world where my actual learning is in my very like low level.
Yes, yes. But here you're getting like vocabulary and geography.
Yeah. And I have an idea for an app that we can work on building.
Yeah, a smaller one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shouldn't be too complicated. Like a lot of the stuff in it, I kind of already have a little bit of an idea of how we would code it.
And your app will be probably just in the browser. It probably won't have a server.
Yeah.
You probably don't need a god in the sky to save the information.
No.
It'll probably be like enter a seed. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can work on that maybe when you visit after we get the computer all set up. Because I don't remember. I need to re-download programs to code in and all that stuff that I had on my Mac, but
your Mac died.
It died. It doesn't charge anymore.
Dun dun dun. Did you try? You tried cleaning it, right?
Like blowing in it?
No, like toothpick and alcohol on the charging.
No,
port.
I didn't.
Try that.
Okay.
Seriously, like toothpick and some sort of like wet wipe on the charging point and on the charger. Because
I'll give that a try.
Okay, that has fixed computers for me before.
Bessie says that she's had computers, because ours just like stopped charging. She said, take a toothpick and a wet wipe and clean the charging port and the charger, and that has fixed computers for her before. So I will definitely try that before you try.
It's worth trying.
Yeah. Worth a shot.
Yeah. That.
Huh? It charges. Oh, it does? I thought it wasn't charging. Oh, no, it charges. It just won't come on.
Oh.
Never mind.
Okay.
So that's a different problem.
And it's ancient. It's dead.
It's had a lot of use, so it was probably just like it's time.
Okay. I'm going to show you the landscape of this app. Okay. Close all open editors. So this is a React app where React is a JavaScript library. Because like with HTML and CSS and everything, there is so much to know to do a web app right that one human can't know it. So there's lots of abstractions and we just build on those. And it's, but those are like, it's like, I don't know, disciplines of engineering. So React is like mechanical engineering or something in the sense of, yeah, underneath there's a lot of physics and chemistry, but you can't build everything up from molecules. You've got to start with the steels and the aluminums and the concretes that we already know how to make, which is kind of what React and a lot of these other libraries give you. Okay. So this is a Node app, and it happens that Node apps start with package.json. That kind of defines the project. And the things that are important in here are mostly the dependencies. So here's our tree path library that is actually what I want to use. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that most of this we don't need. But God, do I really need SDM and SDM core? Seriously? That's so sad. I don't want... Anyway, this is just too many dependencies that I don't need much of, but a little bit. The important bits here are, let's see, React DOM. Oh, Express is the web server library. So Node just runs JavaScript on the server. JavaScript is a general programming language, can run a web server, and that is the library that lets us do that. Why is Webpack not in dev dependencies? And then there's our tools with which we build and package and turn it into something that can run in production. Why do I not have TypeScript in here? Please appear. Come here, do it. It's gonna do it. Right. And this says what version of Node it runs on. I don't see why you should require 8. And keywords, whatever. I don't know what that does. This is incorrect. Jessitron tree parser GUI. There. Oh, now it's going to be angry because, oh good, it did add TypeScript. All right. So there's like so many, there's just like layers and layers and layers of tools and libraries. And yeah, with JavaScript, you're like playing with cells. I don't know. You're like in a microscope playing with cells. And oh, I know what. When you do your little JavaScript puzzles, swishing to and fro, amoebas like to play in a petri dish, dividing once a day. I thought that there were 2, nothing less or more, but I looked in the microscope and counted up to 4. Oh, single cells, see how they divide. There was 1 on Christmas Day, but now it's multiplied. Oh, single cells, nothing much to do, but swim in a petri dish, dividing into 2. Okay,
Did you know that when I was in high school, they still had that song written down, and they had to sing it for extra credit?
Yay!
Like, Jesse, Allison wrote this, and I was like...
I did not write that.
Oh, I thought you wrote it.
No, I learned it in school, the same school you went to.
Oh, and I learned it in school. I thought you wrote it.
I did not write it. No, I just taught it to you. That's cool. Yeah. Anyway, but that's like the kind of level of JavaScript. And then here we're like, okay, with React and TypeScript and Webpack, we're more on the level of maybe crustaceans. I know our programs aren't like at human levels yet, but we have cells and organs and metabolisms and ecosystems in these piles. So I struggle with, like, when I started programming, I got to build up from C, and then Java, and when I made websites when I was in college in the late 90s, it was just straight HTML. CSS did not exist.
Yeah, websites didn't have to look good in the 90s.
No, they didn't. So where is it? Here it is. There's an HTML file at the top of this. So you can see the HTML. There's a glitch button, which frankly I can take out because it's not on glitch anymore because our Adamus libraries were too big and fat for glitch to run it. And we could make our own icon. We should do that.
Oh, Taylor, let me know if you want to get, like, takeout for lunch before too long. I'm hungry.
How long are you going to be doing that?
I don't know. If you want to make some lunch, I can eat it when it's ready. Or we can get takeout. Just letting you know now that I'm hungry before I get hangry.
That's a pretty small window. I should do it, you know.
Okay. Yeah, so there is a top-level HTML file here, index.html, to define the web page. But other than like some CSS files, and okay, so it brings in the bundle.javascript. So at some point, you've got like your HTML and your CSS and your JavaScript coming together. And they do this in this index.html, which boils up from the server. Let me show you that code. Here we use this Express library. That's our web server. So we get a web server, and we're like, do some shit. And here's the crucial bit. When we get a request to slash, which is the root,
Okay.
we send that index.html. app/index.html. So this is like the main lava flow up from the server.
It pulls in index.html.
Yeah. So then that sends index.html. Index.html includes our styles. Oh, this one's garbage. I took that JSON inspector library out. I'm going to delete that.
This one.
And this, okay, so that brings in some CSS and also some JavaScript.
Okay.
And this bundle.javascript happens to come from Webpack and is like the sum of all the JavaScript in this app directory. Yeah, so that brings it together. Now I'm going to show you that stuff in the browser. Okay, so here's the trick. Step 1, use Chrome, which I'm not. Developer tools or JavaScript console, either one is going to bring this window up. And this window is super awesome and amazing. You have a place to run JavaScript. Have you done this yet? Okay, so any web browser, any web page, you can bring up this console. You might have to install developer tools in your browser. It might be a plugin or a setting. I think it's a setting somewhere to like, turn on developer tools. But you can bring up this, oh, that wasn't very useful. You can bring up a JavaScript console. So you can, if you have a browser with the console available,
Console.log.
which is pretty much all of them.
I know how to do.
Yeah, that's why it's console.log. This is the console, and this is why it's console.log, because browsers have this console thing. What is that nonsense? Okay. And then it says hello bunny. And then there's some other awesome things. Okay, this one is amazing. So here is the HTML after the JavaScript runs. So you can see here's where we brought in our style sheet.
Okay, yeah, I see that. Then there's your comment.
And then,
just comment it out.
Yeah. And then here it's bringing in the script.
JavaScript.
Entertainingly, if you go over to the sources tab, you can be like, okay, show me my JavaScript. Now, this is the output of Webpack, so you probably don't want to look at this.
No, it's too much.
But the CSS, I am not using any preprocessors on my CSS, so it's just right here. And check this out. You can futz with it. Is parser choice still a thing? I don't think so. I think I can delete that and nothing happens. I can probably delete that. Oh, that moved something. That wasn't good. So that was apparently being useful. But look, you can futz with this. So if I like change this margin to 100 pixels, something happened. It wasn't good.
Nice. Okay,
What if I just delete
a
that?
lot more familiar.
Yeah, okay, so you can like futz with your stuff in the browser, and that's not going to change it on your file system. If you reload the page, it's going to go back to what it was, because the server will serve up the same one again. But you can totally futz with this. And then your elements, since it ran the JavaScript, our main was empty, right? I think our main was, yes. It was just like, it will be in here. And then, but since the JavaScript has run, it has put stuff in there. And it put in this parse my code. Have you messed with this stuff yet?
Not really. I mean, it looks...
Ta-da! I love that you can do this in Chrome. It's so great.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah, so you can see when you highlight over here, like the whole, that section highlights. And then you can dig around in it and we can get, there's the essay form, there's the preview. Why is it called an essay form? Historical reasons it's a bad name and I need to change it. And then, yeah. That's a thing. I love that. And you can like, and then when you pick it, you can also find it over here. You can be like, inspect, and then it'll find it for you.
Great.
So you can right click and inspect and find this, and it shows you all the styles These are some that Amy imported from Material UI, and then you can futz with them in here as well. And do stuff and see what happens. And it's all very exciting. I don't know what that does. Ooh, look, the listeners. That's interesting. I don't know what that does. I don't know what these things do. Anyway, I don't know what a lot of this does. I know what network does. If I hit reload, it shows me, okay, first it hit localhost with the slash. And then that gave it the index.html back. And then based on the references in the index.html, it, it loaded the bundle.js. Oh, and then it hit dependencies. That's a post that I have. That's weird. And then it loaded the fave icon, which we could change that to something that we like a bunny. Now, it didn't load the CSS that I can tell. And maybe it's just like, yeah, I've already gotten that before. I don't need to go get it again. So network tab is cool because you can see everything that it's loading. And then you can be like, okay, what did you actually get back from this dependencies endpoint? And it shows you. It uses this to populate this little thing down here. So it says which version of the library it's using, which is useful to me when I have the wrong one. Ooh, disable cache. Haha! I hit disable cache and it loaded the CSS again. So that's really useful if you just change the CSS on the server and you're like, look, yo, this changed. Don't use the cache. Although I think it actually asks the server whether this has changed before it decides not to load it. Anyway, that was good job, Jess. Right, so now you can kind of see in the browser world, you can see the HTML. You can see the CSS. And this is just our CSS file. There's actually more underneath that like Material UI brings in. This is not all the CSS. Some of it is web packed in. But this is all my CSS. And then you can see the JavaScript. So you can see the actual code, but I think what you usually do... How did Amy stick debug points in here? She had a way of... I don't remember how she debugged that. Maybe it was this. I don't know what this mouse down. There's ways to stick debug points in here. Ooh, there's an error. What is it? Each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key. Check the render method of SA form. This is one of the libraries being nice to us and giving warnings. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, God, it's so nice. A list item should have a key element. I can fix that. Right, so, and that all connects to the back end. Where were we in the back end? Okay, so the index.html is going to load bundle, which happens to be everything. So at this point, you just have to know that bundle is going to start with this app.jsx. I don't know how you know that other than, oh, I wonder if it's in the Webpack config. Include, restart, exclude, include. No, I don't know how you know that. Oh, probably because it calls React DOM.render. So this is like the top level thing. And that says that we're going to start with this hello world guy. Yeah. Which is in here. I had to be able to just import that. This is fine. And then we get into React. And this stuff that looks kind of like HTML is called JSX, which is basically, it pretends to be HTML, but it's sort of JavaScript. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we don't need to explain that now. But it is kind of bizarre how the HTML is in the JavaScript, but it works way better that way. We used to like embed JavaScript in HTML, and it was way worse than embedding the HTML looking stuff in JavaScript. Been there. This is better. And there's you can see the title. So if I change this to Hello Bunny, it would actually always serve Hello Bunny. Okay, that was a lot. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
That is like a lot of overview. And what I want to make it do next is be like, okay, let me put some Java in here. We'll put foo back in there. It'll have a string field. No, I didn't mean to save it. I want to hit submit.
It did in the browser thing.
Yes, exactly. Like the element tool in the browser developer tools.
That it'll connect it from what you're typing versus what it's retrieving.
Right. I want to be like, where is this hop in the tree, and for it to highlight that over here, which is going to involve this whole like preview thing. God, I want those little copy things to go away. I don't want those. I need them to go away. But that's probably an option. Anyway, this is a library. This is a component that someone else wrote. And in order to get that highlight functionality, I'm going to need to fork it and modify their code. This is fine. The harder part for me is, how do I get this? But Amy and I figured that out today. At least we have a theory. We found one way to get this anyway, which is called get selection on window. And I'm not sure that that's good practice, but fuck it, if it works, it's going to be my practice until somebody tells me a better way, and then I'll happily switch to it. So that's where I'm going next. And my goal is to get it down to a programming puzzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how to get this data at the right time. And then that'll be like the input. And that's tricky because it's user interface. And then I've got to figure out what I want this one to do. And that's the output part. And then in between that is a puzzle, which will be fun to solve, because then it'll just be turn this information into the information this needs. And that's like data in, data out. And that is something I can write little unit tests around and have fun with. That's where I'm going with this thing.
Awesome.
Zoom. Now would be a good time to give me that irritating window.
Do you want to meet again on Monday?
Yeah. Meet again on Monday, and I will see you in a couple days.
Tuesday. Yeah, I know. You just came here for part of the conversation. Where she was like, "Oh, and I'm going to be there soon," and I said, "Yeah, on Tuesday."
Zoom thinks it's sharing the other screen, but you're looking at my browser, right? Are you looking at a tiny thing of my browser?
It's a little small. It's not tiny, but...
Hold on, Bunny. The whole time I thought I was sharing this screen.
Oh, that is much easier to read.
But no, you were looking at the screen surrounding the YouTube sharing. So you were looking at a screen containing a share of the other screen.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
It should have been like a lot bigger. A lot bigger.
Oh, wow, that's so much easier to read.
Oh, Rach, you have to say something.
I thought that. I didn't realize that this is what it was supposed to look like. But now I know.
See that? Okay. A big part of like figuring out what you're doing is knowing what it's supposed to look like.
And now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah, let me know on Monday. I'm free for most of the day. We won't start doing like New Year's Eve party prep until the afternoon, and then people don't come over until like 7.
Okay.
And then if they're open, Tuesday would be a good time to go get the computer as I will be hungover.
Okay.
Today, so,
I'm going to stop streaming now.
okay.
Bye, Roswell.